opportunity to say, well, let me start this organization. Let me try and start this business. And I have all these thousands of customers right here, right at school. And I can learn lessons now. But if you don't use it for that, you can go through those 4 years and just be in debt. And I think that's the mistake and the misconception that a lot of us have, is that we're going to school for the wrong reason. We don't understand why we're there. We don't understand the real opportunity of school. We just see it really isn't about getting that piece of paper. I mean, that's a part of it, but it's so much more than that. I'm a part of alumni. I'm a part of a credit union just because I went to this school. So I get lower rates on my credit cards now, just because I went to this school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can take one class and now you're an alumni. So I mean, that's a benefit. So now when I go and get a home loan or a car loan or anything like that, I'm gonna pay a lot less than somebody else that didn't go to school just because of that. I get discounts to go in, the museums and different things like that, just because I went to school. And so that's the power of it. I can send an email out to alumni. I think there's 150,000 people on the list. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And so it's those are the real things that I think people don't take advantage of when they think about going to school.
That's network. In addition to that, I think it's very important. Another misconception is that people have is that as long as I go to college, and get any degree, everything's gonna be gravy. No, a lot of people go to college and have no focus. They just go because either their parents wanted them to go to college, they don't really want to go, they're just going, or they don't know, they go to college for 4 years and they still ain't pick a major. You have to have a focus. If you don't have a focus, you are more likely to be wasting that tuition money then, because they'll take your money. But if you don't have a focus and have some type of idea of where you want to go with that piece of paper and what you want to do with it, they're going to take your money, and you're going to end up out there angry because here you are with a degree and no job, and it's going to take you longer to find a job than the next person. So I think that's really important, is to have focus. I mean, my story is, I knew at 12 that I wanted a graduate degree, and I always was very focused from 12 on. All through high school, I knew exactly what I was going to college. I knew I was going to go to undergrad and graduate. I knew what I was going to major in. So I majored in art. My background is graphic design. I knew that before even high school. So my high school years were focused with that curriculum in mind. You were talking about taking classes that are kind of useless, like geometry and trigonometry. I never took that. I never had that because I didn't need it. I knew I didn't need that. I knew that I was going to be an artist. You don't need no trig to draw on a canvas. You don't need no trig to make an ad. It's not necessary. Right. So I never took that. My high school was geared to where I was going. So I went to college. I went to art school. Again, didn't waste time taking a lot of junk I didn't need. And so and I went to graduate school, same situation. So everything I took was very relevant. But the key is being focused. Yeah. If you're focused, like if you go to general colleges, you're going to take some classes that you don't need. That's just part of it. I did take some classes, a lot of classes that I didn't need. But it helps to be focused. And when you're focused, if you make it all the way through there, it's more likely that degree will help you. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, that's real, man. I just agree completely with what you said, just about knowing. And that goes back to what you were saying too, just about, and everybody. Just the fact that you need to know from the onset kind of what you want to do. I was talking to one of the teachers at MLK, and he and I were talking about how students are juniors and seniors in high school and don't know what they want to do, and how early is too early to start to have that dialogue with children. And I was saying, you need to have that. In kindergarten, pre-K, you need to start talking. Even if they're like, I want to be a fireman, astronaut, dancer, at least start having that conversation. because if not for that conversation at that early age where they can kind of bring it in, they'll still be, 17 years old, having no idea what they want to do and no idea how to get there. So being 12 years old and knowing exactly what you want to do, that takes away some of the misconceptions right there, and it also takes away some of the intimidation factor, because one of the misconceptions in college is that you're going to be faced with all this information and it's going to be overwhelming and you won't know what to do with it. But when you go into it with a directive and a focus, you understand, I don't got to deal with this, I don't got to deal with that, I don't got to deal with that. I'm going right here. This is my concentration. These are my core classes. These are my electives. This is what I got to do. It's going to take me 4 years and I'm done, you know. But when you don't have that, it kind of is overwhelming, you know. And so that's one of the major misconceptions, that, you know, college is just all this information and you just don't know what you want to do, and you kind of decide. No, if you go into it from the beginning, I know this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
It makes it a whole lot easier, you know. It makes the process a whole lot simpler, you know.
And unfortunately, as Brother Day was saying earlier at the beginning of this, there's so many kids now that they don't have anybody to look to in the community that did that.
Yeah.
You know, they don't see it, and their parents may or may not be pointing them in that direction. So they never do develop a focus. They, like you just said, you can ask a whole bunch of school kids now, even high schoolers, what they want to be when they grow up, and they just have no idea. I don't know, I want to make a lot of money. They all say that, but they just have no idea of what that means. They have no idea of what they want to be. And apparently, in the community, not enough people are asking. Not enough people are expecting them to have an answer. Because I've asked that question several times to high schoolers, and they tell me the same thing. I don't know. How did you not know? You're in high school and I'm in.
You know.
And I'm always just flabbergasted when I hear that. I get into a deep conversation with that child whenever I hear that, because that's a terrible thing. They should have an idea, and they may change it. I mean, that's another misconception as well. I want to hit on that one. It is possible to go to school. Just because you graduate with a degree, it doesn't mean you're stuck to that for the rest of your life. We're in a new economy now. You know, people are able to be fluid from one career to another career. But no matter what you decide to do, whether you, like me, for example, I did do graphic design for about 10 years. I haven't done graphic design in 10 years. I've done IT since then, and now I'm in real estate. But the foundation, as y'all were saying, follows you around. You know, the stuff I learned in college, and a lot of it didn't have anything to do with the academics. It had to do with knowing how to maneuver and how to have the confidence to do certain things and how to network. All these things that we've said, it had a lot to do with that, and that's what helped me move around. So you're not necessarily tied into a degree per se. You can change, or you can go back to school again. But you got to start with that foundation. You got to have the drive to do it in the first place. Somebody's got to teach the kids, you know, that they need this. That this is important. Again,
it's something that I always talk to my boys about. You know, anytime I have, whether it's an after-school program or whatever program I do. I do nonprofit work, so I do various programs. But anytime I have like a bunch of boys together, you know, I tend to take on a mentoring aspect because it's just what I do. But one thing, I tell them something that a gentleman told me when I was in high school. He asked me, what was it that I wanted to do? Now, I had an answer, but I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to get laughed at. So I answered, I don't know. And he's like, you don't know? And what he told me next really stuck with me. He said, as a teenage boy growing into a young man, growing into an adult, a man should never answer a question with I don't know. Never. Have some idea. Have something that you can do. Whether it's something that you like, something that you hate, but you just happen to be good at it. Whatever. Have something that you can put a focus into until you come into what it is that you definitely want to do. And at the time, I was in high school, I had taken a bunch of classes, a bunch of architectural classes. So drafting and designers, I wasn't good at it, but I was fluent in it. You know, so it's something that's an area that I could, and I could still fall back on there if I needed to, because I had, you know, quite a few years of training in it. But I was like, okay, well, I do architecture in school. He said, well, that's something you can focus on until you figure out something else. Have something to focus in on, because if you go out not knowing what you want to do, when you go into college, even though I didn't get that far, or really get that far, when you go to college and you go out in the world, your mind is going to be everywhere, and you're going to be bombarded with information information because you're not gonna know what to decipher, what you're supposed to take in, what you're supposed to utilize because you don't have a focus.
I want to take what you said a step further with the man said to you when you were in high school that as a young man you should have an idea of what you want to do. I want to take that a step further by saying that as a young man, as a young person in general, you cannot afford to not know what you want to do. You don't have the luxury of time that you think that you have to not know what you want to do. You have to have some idea of what you want to do because time does not wait. Time does not wait. People don't know you and don't care necessarily about you unless you get out there, you form those networks, and you do the necessary work. You can't just be scratching your head at 20 years old trying to figure out, what am I going to do in my life, because time does not wait.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And even like you said, even if you realize that while you're in the education process, at least you're doing something. But if you sitting at home, watching, TV and it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you don't have a job, no education, and then you got these commercials coming on TV and talking about, you can go to school and become a medical tech and you can go do this and do that, you don't have time for that. Trust me, that's where you will be and that's not where you want to be. Don't risk it,
It's not.
That's what I used to tell my kids. I used to always say, either you are going to choose what you want to do with your life, or life is going to choose what happens to you. You will either have a career, or you will get a job, maybe. And I used to, I have girls, so it was easy to give them graphic ideas. And I used to always say they used to all really get grossed out when they would see a dead animal on the side of the road. And then at one time, we saw the crew coming along who collects the dead animals, picks them up and scoops them up off the road after they roadkill. You take the shovel and you scoop it up, and that's their job. That's what they do every day. And I used to ask them, that person that's doing that, they never, ever, ever thought as a young person that that's what they was going to end up doing. They thought they was going to be a doctor. They thought they was going to be making millions of dollars. But this is what they do every single day. Why is that? More than likely is because they did not do what they should have done to become what they wanted to be. And now they have ended up with this job because they need a job. And you have to decide what it's going to be. Are you going to end up with something, or are you going to work towards something that you want?
And I think, just to add to that, for those people who are on the roadkill crew right now, wherever you find yourself right now, you're not stuck to that position. And so I think that, a lot of times for our younger brothers who are like maybe in their 20s, they may feel like it's too late for me to try and make a change. And it's not. Or even in your 30s or 40s or 50s. You may want to, a lot of people come to it late, come to it later than others, and they still can make that change. So I think that it's important that we stay positive, and that we realize that, if we want to move in a direction, the first thing we have to stop, that we have to do is stop going in the other direction. So if you're in a hole, the first thing they say is stop digging. You want to get out of it, you got to stop. Another thing I want to say is, I think a great movie, and I may have mentioned this in the previous show, but I don't know if I did, but a great movie that illustrates a lot of what we're talking about is Friday. This movie we've all seen. Think about it. What happened? When everything went bad, he said, it's Friday, you lost your job, and we ain't got nothing to do. And that's where a lot of it stems from, is we ain't got nothing to do. They didn't try and go to school, they weren't trying to do nothing else. Only solution they had is, let's self-medicate. We got lost in the movie, so you don't know what happened. There's a lot of bad things that happen as a result of not having anything to do. That's great social commentary.
He can help me be the